Marriage is often romanticized as a safe haven, a lifelong bond filled with love, partnership, and mutual support. But beneath the surface of even the most seemingly stable relationships, there are complex dynamics that can render married women surprisingly vulnerable. This vulnerability doesn't necessarily stem from weakness or dependence. Rather, it arises from emotional, societal, psychological, and even biological factors that shape their roles, choices, and identities. In this comprehensive article, we'll explore the underlying reasons why married women can be more vulnerable, highlighting everything from gender expectations and emotional labor to economic dependence, societal judgment, and personal identity loss. The goal isn't to undermine marriage but to foster understanding and support, and to empower both women and men to recognize and address these realities with empathy and awareness. Emotional investment runs deeper. One of the most profound sources of vulnerability in married women is the depth of their emotional investment. Culturally and biologically, women are often more emotionally attuned and expressive. In many marriages, the woman is the emotional anchor, nurturing the children, maintaining harmony, and acting as the bridge in times of conflict. This emotional labor, while invisible, is exhausting. It often leads to emotional burnout, especially when it's not reciprocated or appreciated. When women don't receive the same level of emotional support in return, they can feel isolated, neglected, or undervalued, and that emotional disconnection becomes a breeding ground for vulnerability. Societal pressure to be the perfect wife. The concept of the perfect wife is a deeply ingrained societal construct. She is expected to be nurturing, sexually available, emotionally stable, physically attractive, a good mother, a supportive partner, and an efficient homemaker, all at once. Failing in any one of these areas can lead to feelings of guilt, shame, or inadequacy. These unrealistic expectations place an immense amount of pressure on married women. They are judged not just by their partners, but by family, friends, and society at large. This constant evaluation can lead to low self-esteem, anxiety, and a constant fear of not being enough, all of which contribute to emotional and psychological vulnerability. Loss of personal identity. Marriage can blur the lines between self and spouse. While it's healthy for couples to grow together, it becomes problematic when a woman's individual identity is swallowed by her role as a wife or mother. Many women begin to prioritize their husband's goals, family responsibilities, or household duties over their own passions and ambitions. Over time, this can lead to a loss of personal identity. When a woman no longer recognizes herself outside her marriage, any threat to the relationship, such as infidelity, conflict, or emotional neglect, becomes not just a marital issue, but a deeply personal crisis. She feels lost not only as a partner but as a person. Financial dependence creates power imbalance. Despite progress in gender equality, financial dependence is still a reality for many married women. Some choose to stay at home to raise children, while others may give up careers for their husband's job, relocation, or family responsibilities. This sacrifice can lead to a lack of financial independence, which in turn creates a power imbalance. When a woman doesn't control her own finances, she may feel trapped in situations where she's unhappy, mistreated, or even abused. Economic dependence makes it harder to leave toxic environments, making women more susceptible to exploitation, control, or manipulation. The silent toll of emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is often subtle, and married women are particularly vulnerable to it because it's frequently normalized in long-term relationships. It might manifest as constant criticism, gaslighting, controlling behavior, or emotional withdrawal. Unlike physical abuse, which is visible, emotional abuse chips away at a woman's sense of self-worth over time. Many women in emotionally abusive marriages suffer in silence, either because they don't recognize the abuse or because they fear the consequences of speaking up. The psychological damage is profound, often leading to depression, anxiety, and a persistent sense of helplessness. Cultural and religious constraints. In many cultures, marriage is seen as a sacred and unbreakable bond. Divorce is stigmatized, and women are taught to keep the family together, no matter the cost. These cultural or religious constraints can trap women in unhealthy marriages, making them endure emotional, psychological, or physical abuse without recourse. Such constraints not only perpetuate their vulnerability but also isolate them from support systems. They may be discouraged from seeking therapy or legal help, leaving them with no safe outlet to express or escape their suffering. Motherhood magnifies the stakes. Becoming a mother introduces another layer of vulnerability. A woman may feel pressured to remain in an unhappy or abusive marriage, for the children. She might fear custody battles, financial hardship, or the societal judgment associated with single motherhood. Additionally, the immense responsibility of child-rearing often falls disproportionately on women. Juggling parenting, work, and relationship duties without adequate support can lead to emotional exhaustion. The burden of motherhood, when not shared equally, becomes another factor that deepens her vulnerability within the marriage. Sexual expectations and pressure. Sexual intimacy is a critical part of marriage, but for many women, it also becomes a source of pressure or discomfort. Whether it's the expectation to always be available, perform a certain way, or suppress their own sexual needs and boundaries, married women often compromise in silence. When sexual needs are ignored, dismissed, or manipulated, it creates feelings of resentment, frustration, or shame. Worse, in some cases, women endure non-consensual acts in the name of marital obligation, which is a serious violation of their autonomy and dignity. Infidelity and betrayal. Infidelity is a profound breach of trust that impacts both partners. But for married women, betrayal cuts especially deep. It not only challenges their sense of worth but also disrupts their emotional, social, and economic security, particularly if they've sacrificed parts of their life for the relationship. Women who are cheated on may blame themselves, question their attractiveness, or feel humiliated by the betrayal. The emotional fallout can lead to depression, anxiety, and a long-term fear of abandonment. Health neglect and self-sacrifice. In prioritizing family and partner needs, many married women overlook their own health and well-being. They delay medical appointments, ignore stress signals, or suffer in silence to keep the household functioning. Over time, this self-sacrifice takes a toll on both mental and physical health. Women who chronically neglect their own needs become more susceptible to illness, fatigue, and emotional burnout, all of which compound their vulnerability. When the caregiver is not cared for, she eventually breaks down. Dependency on external validation. Marriage, for some women, becomes the ultimate form of validation. Society teaches women that their worth is tied to their relationship status, making them overly reliant on their husband's approval or affection. When this validation is inconsistent or withheld, it can damage self-esteem and breed insecurity. A woman who depends on her spouse's attention to feel worthy is constantly at risk of emotional instability. If her partner withdraws affection or criticizes her, it can lead to intense feelings of inadequacy and hopelessness. Stigma around seeking help. While mental health awareness has improved, there's still significant stigma, especially for married women. They're often expected to handle it all and not complain. Speaking up about struggles might be seen as weakness, nagging, or failure. This makes it difficult for women to seek help or therapy, even when they need it desperately. The fear of judgment, from their spouse, in-laws, or society, keeps many women silent, deepening their emotional isolation and pain. Aging and feeling invisible. As women age in marriage, many feel increasingly invisible, to their spouses and society alike. Media and cultural norms often idolize youth and beauty, which can erode a woman's confidence as she grows older. If a partner no longer affirms her worth, she may feel neglected or undesired. This sense of invisibility can lead to a crisis of identity. A woman who once felt confident and alive may now feel like a ghost in her own home, loved for her role, not her essence. The weight of silent expectations. Many married women live under the weight of unspoken expectations. They are expected to know what their partner wants, meet needs without being asked, and keep the relationship functioning smoothly, often without gratitude or acknowledgement. When a woman constantly adjusts, compromises, and anticipates needs without reciprocity, it creates silent suffering. Her needs become secondary, and over time, this erasure leads to emotional numbness or quiet despair. What can be done? The path toward empowerment. Understanding these vulnerabilities is the first step toward empowerment. Marriage should be a partnership of equals, where both people are seen, heard, and supported. Here's how vulnerability can be transformed into strength. Open communication. Encourage honest, judgment-free dialogue about needs, feelings, and boundaries. Emotional reciprocity. Partners should support each other equally in emotional labor and relationship maintenance. Women should be encouraged to maintain or develop financial autonomy where possible. Therapy and counseling. Normalize seeking help, individually or as a couple. Support networks. Women need safe spaces, friends, groups, or online communities, where they can share without fear. Reclaiming identity. encourage pursuits outside the marriage, hobbies, careers, or causes that affirm her individual worth. The truth about why married women can be more vulnerable lies not in weakness, but in the multitude of roles they carry and the silent expectations they meet. Their vulnerability is AE and intention. Both men and women can create healthier, more balanced marriages. Because when women are safe, seen, and supported, everyone thrives. Many women grow up with generational messages passed down from mothers and grandmothers who endured different, often more oppressive, marital dynamics. Phrases like, "A woman's place is in the home," "Endure for the sake of family," or "Marriage is a woman's destiny," shape internal narratives that teach women to suppress their own needs and tolerate dysfunction. This generational conditioning creates a psychological script where women feel obligated to sacrifice their happiness, freedom, or autonomy. Even in modern relationships, these deep-seated beliefs can affect decision-making, emotional resilience, and willingness to speak up. Women may not even realize how much of their behavior is guided by outdated expectations, further reinforcing vulnerability. Invisibility of everyday pain. Married women are often expected to smile through discomfort. The daily grind, juggling household responsibilities, caring for children, emotional management of the family, and sometimes professional work, creates a high level of stress. But because these efforts are so normalized, their pain becomes invisible. No one praises a woman for cleaning the house or ensuring everyone eats, it's just assumed. This invisibility breeds emotional emptiness. When her labor is unseen and her emotions are dismissed, she begins to internalize the belief that her feelings don't matter, and that's a dangerous foundation for long-term vulnerability. Emotional starvation in sexless marriages. Sexless marriages are more common than people think, and women in such unions often experience a unique kind of emotional starvation. Contrary to popular stereotypes, many women crave physical intimacy not just for sexual pleasure, but for connection, affection, and affirmation. When physical intimacy fades without emotional closeness to replace it, a woman may feel undesired, unloved, or rejected. This perceived loss of value deeply affects her self-esteem. Some blame themselves for the lack of desire, while others suffer in silence, fearing judgment if they admit they still have sexual needs. This silent suffering further deepens the emotional vulnerability. Being gaslighted for expressing emotions. Married women are often told they're too sensitive, overreacting, or nagging when they express concerns. This form of gaslighting invalidates their emotions and teaches them to doubt their own perceptions. When a woman begins to question her reality, it creates a psychological imbalance where she no longer trusts her instinct. This erodes confidence and leaves her more susceptible to manipulation. Over time, she may become passive, emotionally numb, or feel trapped in a psychological fog, all while appearing fine on the outside. Fear of starting over. For many women, especially those who have spent years in a marriage, the idea of starting over feels overwhelming. Whether it's the fear of loneliness, judgment, financial hardship, or losing custody of children, these fears keep women stuck in vulnerable positions. They may tolerate emotional neglect, betrayal, or even abuse simply because the alternative, rebuilding life alone, seems terrifying. The fear of the unknown becomes a stronger force than the pain they currently endure, when love is used as control. Love should be freeing, not binding. Yet in many marriages, women are manipulated into compliance under the guise of love. They're told, "If you loved me, you'd do this," or "I only control you because I care." This emotional blackmail confuses genuine affection with control. Women may surrender autonomy, change their behavior, or compromise their values thinking it's for love, when in fact, they're being emotionally controlled. Recognizing this pattern can be hard, especially when manipulation is disguised as affection. The guilt of wanting more. Many married women experience guilt for wanting more passion, more freedom, more recognition, or more purpose. Society tells them they should be satisfied if they have a roof over their head, children, and a decent partner. So when they feel unfulfilled, they assume something is wrong with them. This guilt becomes a mental prison. Rather than exploring the desires, they silence them. And the more they suppress their yearnings, the more disconnected and emotionally fragile they become. The comparison trap in the social media era. Social media has introduced a whole new layer of pressure on married women. Instagram perfect couples, curated family photos, and romantic anniversary posts create an illusion of perfection. Women often compare their real-life relationships to these filtered realities and feel inadequate. They might wonder, why isn't my husband as expressive? Or, why doesn't my life look this beautiful? These comparisons damage self-worth and increase emotional strain, especially when they don't feel seen or cherished in their own homes. Emotional affairs and neglect. Even in faithful marriages, emotional affairs or emotional neglect can devastate a woman's sense of safety. When her partner shares more intimacy, secrets, or support with someone else, whether a friend, co-worker, or ex, she may feel betrayed, even if no physical infidelity occurs. Emotional affairs often hurt more than physical ones because they involve trust and vulnerability. Emotional neglect, on the other hand, makes a woman feel invisible, like her thoughts, dreams, or struggles don't matter. Both dynamics create deep emotional wounds that make women feel unimportant in their own marriage. Carrying the weight of generational healing. In modern marriages, many women find themselves not only managing their own emotional load but also breaking cycles of generational trauma, parenting differently, loving consciously, and challenging gender roles. While this work is noble, it is exhausting. Trying to heal yourself, raise emotionally aware children, and maintain a marriage is an enormous emotional labor. When partners don't share this load or acknowledge its difficulty, women feel depleted, unseen, and unsupported. The emotional weight of doing it all better becomes another source of quiet suffering. Misunderstood silence. Silence in married women is often misinterpreted as contentment, but sometimes silence is surrender. It's the result of years of being unheard, dismissed, or misunderstood. Eventually, women stop speaking, not because they're happy, but because they've lost hope that anything will change. This silent resignation is one of the most painful forms of vulnerability. It signals that a woman has emotionally disconnected, and yet still feels trapped by duty, fear, or love. Embracing vulnerability as strength. Despite the layers of vulnerability, married women are not weak, they are warriors of resilience. To feel deeply, give fully, nurture endlessly, and still stand tall through it all is a testament to their strength. But strength does not mean carrying everything alone. True empowerment begins when women acknowledge their needs without guilt, demand emotional equity without apology, reclaim autonomy without fear, seek support without shame. And when men, society, and family listen, uplift, and evolve, vulnerability transforms into power, and marriage becomes the partnership it was always meant to be. Married women are vulnerable not because they are less capable, but because they often give more, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Their vulnerability is not a flaw but a reflection of how much they love, sacrifice, and hold space for others. Understanding this truth is crucial, because when married women are supported, protected, and valued, not just in words, but in action, they don't just survive. They thrive, and when they thrive, so does the relationship, the family, and the entire foundation of love.